If the line of Seth was righteous, why did God destroy them in the flood?
Okay, can we just sort of pause in our present day world to ask one question? You have a look at Adam and Eve, you have a look at the so-called godly line that leads to Noah, you have a look at Noah and his offspring, and obviously only one of his kids is a believer in the God of his fathers. And then you go all the way down through Abraham, you get to Jesus Christ and his salvation, and ultimately you get to John Mackay, called of Christ, whose name is written in the Lamb's book of life. And so I know where my future is. And it's not in this fallen, corrupt world. I'll be honest, I'm looking for a time, even as an Australian, when we see a new heavens and a new earth. It may not abound with kangaroos and burnt and sunny land, or boomerangs, or divisions over Aboriginals and race and things like that, but it will be a restored new heavens and a new earth where righteousness dwells, and there is no crying or tears in that land. So there's the big picture, but in between, we certainly have some godly people mentioned. Right now, let's take Noah, for example. It says Noah was perfect in his generation. And then it finishes that section, but Noah found grace in God's eyes. Why? Because God's message that Noah had been preaching for 100 years was only believed by Noah. Most of you really didn't catch it when I said Ham was not on the ark because he was a believer. Ham was on the ark because his dad was a believer. God deals with families. That's point number one. When you look at Shem and Japheth, Shem certainly turns out to be a believer, but you know nothing of him before the end of the flood. You just know he's there. But Noah, no, he wasn't perfect because even he needed grace. So in the ones we think of as the godly line, whether it's back with Adam, whether it's post Noah, or whether it's Abraham leading up to Christ, these are all sinful men, right? Now, at any time after Adam sinned, think carefully. God warned Adam that in the day he sinned, he would surely die. And then he shows his mercy by actually removing Adam and Eve from the presence of the tree of life so that he cannot eat and live forever. Adam is now doomed. He's already spiritually dead. He soon will be physically dead soon in the big picture 1,000 years later, but to the Lord 1,000 years is just like a day. That's a good application of that verse there. So when you look at Adam, he could have been judged, wiped off the earth at that point. But God in his mercy already has a plan, and he is going to work through certain people appointed from before the foundations of the world. I know some of us struggle with the sovereignty of God and versus free will, etc. Run with what the Bible says. Christ was already sacrificed. He'd picked a way to bring Jesus Christ to this earth as, well, he wasn't actually a descendant of fallen men. He was the Son of God. His mother was Mary, but there's no human men in his family history. Okay, so we've got that interesting conundrum there, but you've now got John Mackay, sinner saved by grace. But yet, to be honest, the wages of sin is death. I deserve death right this moment, right? Because I'm a sinner. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a holy person. I wish I was. I'm only made holy by the righteousness of Christ. In the same way as any of you who are the worst sinners on the planet, if you're not yet Christians, you too can be saved because Jesus died to take your sin, right? And that's the purpose why these guys were not wiped out, whether it's just after the time of Adam, whether it's just after the time of Noah, or whether it's Abraham. I mean, look at some of the things these guys did. In reality, David, kept as an example of a man whose heart was always right before God. Yeah, sure. Bathsheba, name it, right? I'm sorry, God deals with us sinners, and that governs the fact that I, John Mackay, am a son of God. And that's what Joseph was on about. Then